Right now, American farmers are losing a war you don't even know exists. Farmers armed with AR-15s and military thermal optics patrol cornfields like soldiers in Afghanistan.
Last year, feral swine caused more than $80 million in damage to Georgia farmlands and more than $1.5 billion nationwide.
Hunting enemies that destroy $6 billion in crops annually. These aren't foreign invaders. They're wild boars, multiplying faster than rabbits, smarter than dogs. For every one killed, 3 are born. They memorize trap locations, recognize individual human scents, even post sentries while feeding. A single 6-inch fence breach, smaller than your hand, triggers $47,000 in overnight devastation. But here's the shocking part. Desperate farmers are now choosing the unthinkable, deliberately poisoning their grandfather's land with chemicals that kill everything. Turning fertile soil into wasteland, they're destroying their own heritage to survive. What you're about to witness will reveal why even the US military can't stop these animals, and the terrifying reason they keep spreading north. If you are not an experienced hunter, you need to know the importance of teamwork when facing wild boars. These animals represent a threat unlike any other game in North America, combining the intelligence of primates with the aggression of predators and the destructive power of heavy machinery. There may be danger that hunters never anticipate. Shots to the chest do not cause immediate momentary loss of sensation in wild boars. Their unique physiology includes a shield, a layer of cartilage and scar tissue up to 2 inches thick protecting vital organs. You could accidentally miss or aim directly at what seems like a kill shot, only to face an enraged animal charging at 35 miles per hour. This biological armor is why it's necessary to have a teammate to support you. The strength and running speed of a wild boar creates situations where solo hunting becomes Russian roulette. After 20 years hunting these animals across 3 states, explains Texas rancher Jim Matthews, whose family has farmed the same land since 1892, I've learned they're smarter than people think. They remember trap locations for months. They recognize individual human scent patterns. They even post sentries while the group feeds. When you're tracking a 300-pound boar through thick brush at dawn, your heart rate stays at 140. One wrong move, and those 6-inch tusks can slice through Kevlar like butter. I've seen them flip a 250-pound man like he was made of paper. The economics of hunting paint a sobering picture. Hunting wild boars by helicopters costs between $600 to $800 per hour, with most operations requiring minimum 4-hour blocks. However, it becomes safer for hunters, and you can easily search for areas with wild boar populations. The aerial advantage reveals something shocking. What looks like pristine farmland from the road often conceals battlefield-level destruction. Thermal imaging from helicopters shows groups of 30 to 40 hogs moving like military units through crops, following learned patterns that maximize feeding efficiency while minimizing exposure. The hunting industry itself has evolved into a $750 million annual business, with outfitters, guides, and equipment manufacturers all profiting from what farmers consider a plague. This economic paradox, where one group's livelihood depends on maintaining populations of animals that destroy another group's livelihood, creates tension in rural communities. Some farmers have started charging hunters $200 per day for access, trying to offset losses that can reach $100,000 annually on a medium-sized operation. But here's what makes the situation truly desperate. For every wild boar killed, studies show that 3 more are born. The mathematical reality means hunting alone will never solve the problem. This forces farmers to transform their land into something resembling a medieval fortress. Fences are the most effective measure to to prevent wild boars from entering your farm. But the engineering required surpasses what most people imagine when they think of agricultural fencing. This isn't about keeping cattle in. It's about keeping an invasive army out. To build a sturdy fence that actually works, you need to follow rules developed through painful trial and error across thousands of farms. The height of the fence matters critically. It needs to be between 1.8 and 2.4 meters high to ensure pigs cannot jump over it. That's nearly 8 feet of barrier, taller than most residential privacy fences. Wild boars have been documented clearing 5-foot obstacles from a standing position when motivated by hunger or fear. People in town think we're paranoid with these fences, explains Sarah Chen, who manages 500 acres of organic vegetables in Arkansas that supply 3 school districts. But when you've watched a sounder of 20 hogs destroy 6 months of organic produce in 30 minutes, vegetables meant for 1,200 kids' lunch programs, you understand the stakes. Every morning at 5 a.m., I walk all 4 miles of fence line. In winter, that means checking in complete darkness with frost on the ground. Every crack, every depression where rain has eroded soil, every tree that's fallen nearby could mean the difference between meeting our contracts and bankruptcy. Last year, a single breach cost us $47,000 in one night. Fence construction materials determine success or failure. You must use sturdy materials such as hardwood posts, heavy gauge iron mesh, or welded steel panels to construct effective barriers. Standard agricultural fencing fails within days. Wild boars test fences systematically, pushing against posts, rooting under bottom rails, even chewing through standard wire mesh. Avoid using materials that are easily destroyed. Aluminum, standard field fencing, or untreated wood become expensive mistakes. The underground engineering proves equally critical. Digging underground prevention requires fences buried at least 0.6 meters underground to prevent pigs from tunneling beneath. This deep burial also ensures the stability of the entire structure during seasonal soil movement. The installation process alone costs $15 to $25 per linear foot when done correctly, meaning a small 40-acre plot requires a $30,000 to $50,000 initial investment just for perimeter security. Periodic inspections become a full-time job unto themselves. Farmers must repair cracks or damage immediately to ensure the fence remains protective. A gap of just 6 inches can allow young pigs to enter, and they'll remember that entry point for life. Some operations employ dedicated fence maintenance crews, adding another $40,000 annually in labor costs to the protection budget. The technological arms race has led to innovations including electric fencing, delivering 8,000-volt pulses, motion-activated lights, and even automated gates that close when sensors detect approaching animals. Yet despite these advances, wild boars continue adapting, learning to avoid electrified sections and timing their raids for equipment malfunctions. But when prevention fails, and statistical models show it will fail for 67% of farms annually, farmers must turn to capture methods that blur the line between agriculture and warfare. Which region are you watching this video from? Drop your location in the comments below. We'd love to know where our Tech Motion community is tuning in from today. Traps are an effective way to catch wild boars, but their deployment requires understanding animal psychology, engineering precision, and legal navigation that transforms farmers into part-time behavioral scientists. There are different types of traps to suit your specific situation, each with success rates varying dramatically based on execution. Snap traps are simple but effective devices working by collapsing when the pig steps on triggers. Modern versions use smartphone alerts, allowing farmers to monitor multiple locations remotely. The engineering involves precisely calibrated pressure plates that distinguish between a 440-pound young pig and a 400-pound breeding sow. Barrel traps, often filled with fermented corn or commercial attractants, lure pigs inside before spring-loaded doors close to capture them. These cylindrical prisons can hold entire family groups, sometimes catching 15 to 20 animals in a single night. Net traps use high tensile nets to catch pigs as they enter designated areas and become entangled. The military-grade materials required, often the same used in helicopter cargo nets, cost upwards of $3,000 per installation. Setting these traps isn't just dropping them anywhere and hoping, shares veteran trapper Mike Rodriguez, who's removed over 4,000 wild boars from farms across 5 states in his 15-year career. You're studying their trails using game cameras, analyzing their feeding times down to 10-minute windows, even understanding their social hierarchy. The matriarch, always an older, experienced sow, she's survived because she's smart. She'll circle a trap for hours, testing for danger. After 15 years, I can predict exactly where she'll lead her group at dusk based on moon phases, weather patterns, and breeding cycles. Miss that timing by 20 minutes, you've wasted a week of preparation and 500 bait. The psychological warfare intensifies as wild boars learn from each encounter. Trapped and released animals become trap smart, teaching their offspring to avoid certain configurations. This generational learning forces trappers to constantly innovate, rotating trap styles, changing bait compositions, and even using recorded piglet distress calls to trigger maternal instincts. Choosing the type of trap depends on your specific situation and the scale of the infestation. Small family groups require different approaches than sounders of 40-plus animals. Note that using traps requires compliance with wildlife rules and regulations varying significantly by state. Some jurisdictions require trappers to hold licenses. Others mandate immediate euthanization of captured animals, while certain states prohibit specific trap types entirely. The legal complexity alone requires farmers to become part-time legal experts, consulting regulations that change annually. Success rates tell the sobering truth. Even expertly deployed traps capture only 6% of a property's wild boar population in optimal conditions. The remaining 40% become increasingly difficult to catch, requiring escalated measures. Here's where the battle takes its most controversial turn. When mechanical solutions fail, farmers face an agonizing choice between their environmental values and economic survival. If you found this video fascinating and worth watching, comment 1 below. If not, be honest, comment 0. Herbicides can become an effective tool to control the spread of wild boars and protect agricultural investments. But should farmers use chemicals that potentially affect entire ecosystems to save their crops? This question tears rural communities apart, pitting neighbor against neighbor, tradition against necessity. These chemicals work by destroying plants and food sources wild boars need to survive, thereby creating areas so barren they become unattractive to foraging animals. The strategy essentially creates dead zones, calculated sacrifices of land to protect greater agricultural assets. However, using herbicides for this purpose requires caution and sophistication that transforms farmers into amateur chemists, carefully balancing effectiveness against environmental responsibility. It's the hardest decision I make each season, and I lose sleep over it every time, admits John Walker, a third-generation farmer whose grandfather broke this soil with horses in 1934. My grandfather would turn in his grave, knowing I'm using chemicals on land he worked with his bare hands, land he treated like a cathedral. But when you're losing $30,000 monthly to hog damage, when you've got 3 kids' college funds depending on this harvest, when your wife's medical bills are mounting, you do what you must to survive. We're not destroying the land, we're protecting it for the next generation. Still, every application feels like betrayal. To execute this strategy effectively, farmers must first choose environmentally safe herbicides, products tested and proven harmless to non-target plants, animals, and crucial water sources. This selection process involves consulting agricultural extensions, reviewing environmental impact studies, and often hiring consultants at $200 per hour. Choosing appropriate herbicides becomes critical for ensuring effectiveness in controlling feral swine while minimizing collateral damage. Following instructions on dosage and usage is very important. Failure to comply with directives causes excessive herbicide use, leading to environmental pollution and negative impacts on surrounding ecosystems that can persist for decades. People using these chemicals must ensure they apply correct dosages according to manufacturer instructions, weather conditions, and soil types to avoid unwanted effects that could destroy beneficial insects, soil, microorganisms, and water quality. Once herbicide application occurs, farmers must observe treated areas to ensure vegetation no longer thrives and wild boar food sources are effectively destroyed. If necessary, they repeat this process to ensure areas remain unattractive to foraging animals. This monitoring requires weekly inspections, soil testing, and documentation that satisfies both environmental regulators and insurance companies. The controversial nature of chemical control has sparked heated debates at town halls and agricultural conferences. Environmental groups argue these measures contribute to broader ecological collapse. While farmers counter that without these tools, food production becomes economically unviable. The middle ground remains elusive, with each side presenting compelling evidence for their position. By combining prudent herbicide use with environmental protection measures, we can ensure a balance between feral boar control and protection of the natural environment. But the ultimate question remains, at what cost to our agricultural heritage? What you've witnessed today isn't just farming. It's testament to American agricultural resilience. Every pre-dawn fence patrol, every agonizing choice between environmental ideals and economic survival represents farmers choosing to feed our nation despite overwhelming odds. These guardians don't just grow crops. They protect a food system we take for granted. When you see produce tomorrow, remember the invisible $6.5 billion war fought to bring it there. The 3 a.m. battles, the heritage land defended, the farmers treating soil as both battlefield and sanctuary. But what if one farmer discovered how to end this war? Click the video on your screen now. An Alabama farmer just eliminated 96.7% of wild boar using a revolutionary trap system that's rewriting everything we know about agricultural defense. His method is so effective, the USDA is now studying it nationwide. Retry